We're going to be talking all about working as an agency nurse in Australia, all the things you need to know, how to get the shift, what the shifts are going to be like, and most importantly, what the pay is going to be like. So guys, if you want to find out all this information, please do watch this video to the very end. Well, hello, beautiful people. It's your girl, Ada. And thank you so much to all my returning subscribers who has come back to watch to see what I'm talking about today. And if today is your first time for seeing my face, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Ada. Like I said, I'm a registered nurse in the UK. I've practiced for nearly 5 years here. And I am actually in the process of relocating to Australia to go practice as a nurse. Okay, so in this process, I am in this channel, I'm literally sharing my experience and all the research I'm doing as I move along. So if this is something you want to know more about, please consider liking this channel, liking this video, and hitting the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn off the notification as well so you get notified whenever I will post a video. Well, today we have something very, very unique we'll be talking about. Yes, we're talking about something unique for every nurse here in the UK or any other place who is looking to migrate to Australia. There's always one other question at the back of our mind, which is what? Like, are we going to be able to do like agency shifts in Australia? Are the agency shifts in Australia going to be as good as that we have in the UK? You know, we just want to know all this juicy information. And guys, instead of just going to find out and come and sit down and make a video of this, I've decided to bring somebody who is actually an agency nurse in Australia. So I have here with me today Tembi. Tembi, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself to this beautiful audience.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Ada. Thank you. So my name is Tembi. I'm 29. I'm a registered mental health nurse. And at the moment, I actually live and work in Australia. So I do agency nursing in Australia. And I've been doing it for the last like 8 to 9 months, full time essentially. And I've been traveling across the country doing that. It's nice.
It's been good. She's loving life. She's actually loving life. Like, I see all the updates about getting your contracts renewed, about enjoying your posts, and I'm like, oh, this looks like the kind of life I would like to live, you know. We're going to be talking all about working as an agency nurse in Australia, all the things you need to know, how to get the shift, what the shifts are going to be like, and most importantly, what the pay is going to be like. So guys, if you want to find out all this information, please do watch this video to the very end. If you have any questions about any part maybe we've forgotten to cover, leave your questions at the comment section. I'll be watching. Tembi will also watch, and we'll try our best to answer and respond as much as possible. Okay, so let's get right into the video. So Tembi, the first question we'll have for you today would be, of course, from the very beginning, like how to register to join an agency in Australia. Do you want to tell us about that?
So the process of registering, what they like for you to have as a minimum when you're contacting them is to have work rights for Australia, either a visa or be a resident. So you must be able to work in Australia, number one. And number two, you must have your APRA registration. So that's the basic minimum that they ask for whenever you inquire to register with them. So get those two things in the beginning. And then from my experience, the agency I'm currently signed up with is called Nectar Healthcare. So I was linked in with an agent, and I sent them a copy of my passport and a copy of my visa to show that I can work there. And then they sent me a form which had a list of all of the different documents that I needed to send them. So references references are the next thing as well. You must have your references. I think it's like 3 to 5 years worth of references. I only submitted 2 references, but those were perfectly fine. You must also get your working with children and working with adults background police check as well. You must also send in other forms of ID, vaccinations as well. So the registration process can be a little bit tedious, but once you're registered, you're completely registered. Some agencies will provide you with like training manual, with like information for training, depending on what kind of specialty area you're going to go to, but others don't. So it varies based on where you're going to be working. So in a nutshell, that is the registration process. And then bank details and indemnity insurance. Indemnity insurance is also compulsory in Australia. So I think we have indemnity insurance in the UK, but I think the employer
we do like the likes of RCN and Unison and all the rest of them.
Yeah. They've got that, yeah. But in Australia, it's like separate. You must have like a separate indemnity insurance, and it's like compulsory. So you've got to have that as well when you're registering. So it's quite a few things. From when I registered, it was a very long.
Oh, but then once you get them done, if you're registering, like if you're moving from one agency to another agency, do you have to do everything all over again, or do they just accept what's been done?
No, you have to do everything all over again because each agency needs their own
file,
paperwork. Yeah, their own paperwork on you. Yeah.
So it's pretty much what we have here in the UK. So it's not going to be anything strange or anything new for a UK registered nurse trying to join an agency there. But now onto the next stuff now, okay? The availability of shifts. Do you always have your shift? Are the shifts always readily available? And something else I also want to ask, in the UK, we would have like our agency would be the one you can just go, you can choose to do an agency like once a week. You don't have to be like a full-time agency staff. Yeah, you can have a permanent job and still do agency the way I do. So I can choose to work just once a week. But then in the US, I think if you're a travel nurse, because at times you get to go long and then live there for a while. So can you do the way we do here in the UK in Australia, or does it have to be like the full-time contract?
You can do both. You can do either the long-term contracts, or you can do picking one shift at a time. The big difference is that if you, I'll just speak based on my personal experience. I didn't want to do the one shift at a time business because I wanted a guaranteed set of hours. I wanted a guaranteed amount of money, and I wanted a contract. So you can do that, but that's mainly popular in like the big metro areas. So like Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, and Perth, like the central metro areas where there's already a supply of workers anyway. You can do the one shift at a time, and it's less common in those areas to do the contracts. So that's the difference. So if I wanted to go and live in one of the big areas and do agency, I would have to do one shift at a time.
One shift at a time, okay?
Yeah. So that is possible. And then it's also possible to do the long-term contracts. And Australia is one of those places where it's got a big market for long-term contracts because there are lots of places that are classified as regional. They call them regional areas, or regional, rural, or remote areas. Because Australia is massive.
It's massive. It's a whole continent. It's massive.
It's humongous. And there are so many like villages, towns, areas which can't really attract a solid workforce, or they just don't have enough. Yeah, they don't have enough healthcare workers. So that's where they tend to recruit like longer term. The long-term staff. So that's the type of work I do, and that's the type of work that my agency specializes in. They specialize in like rural, regional, remote contracts. So they don't actually do any of like the one at a time metro.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I choose to do, because I would rather live in like a regional or like in the middle of the outback, but have my set contract, have my set hours and a contract and accommodation, etc., rather than do one shift
picking one at a time. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that is more guaranteed. That's the thing about agency. Why some persons don't want to do agency. People want that full guarantee that at the end of the month they are going to get money. They don't want to be standing on one feet. What if I don't get a shift? What happens to my finances? Am I going to be able to meet up with my bills? And that's just the risky thing about agency. But then when you have like a full-time contract, you're sure that this month is covered, next month is covered, and things like that. But then it works well for somebody who is still single.
Yes.
Then you can pack your bag and leave at any time. You can literally leave off your car. But then for a family person, like me, I'm looking for the one at a time because I need to go back home.
But you know what? I've worked with a lot of people who've got families, surprisingly enough. A lot of people have families and they go away for like a 6-week contract or an 8-week contract. And even in that period of time, they can be flying home every weekend. They can bring their family to come and stay for the week, during the
Okay.
holidays. So I have worked with a lot of parents, and a lot of people who have families. So it's definitely possible. If you can just sort of work
You
it
can
out.
shuttle it and make it work. So
Yeah.
that's gonna bring me down to the next question. Like, so what happens whenever you're moving about? Does the agency cover for your cost of transportation? Do they cover for your accommodation, your feeding, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so they cover for the cost of travel to your contract, to and from your contract. So they pay, if you've flying somewhere, they cover for the cost of that. If you're driving, they reimburse you for fuel, any like bus tickets you may have incurred,
Okay.
etc. Yeah, and they do cover your accommodation as well. But and I say right now we're specifically talking about the regional, rural, and remote nursing. Yeah, but in terms of like your food, etc., food transport whilst you're on contract, some agencies do pay you like a reimbursement if you like use buses or taxis. Mine doesn't. But
Okay.
I've got a friend whose Ubers get covered for, and they're with a different agency, but my agency doesn't cover anything. They only cover for you to get to and from your contract.
Okay, but at least they provide for your accommodation.
Yes. Accommodation is either completely free or it's like subsidized. So when
Okay.
it's free, it's completely free, all bills included, water, electricity, everything. And the types of accommodation is they can put you anywhere in hospital accommodation, in a room in a house, anywhere basically, but it will be free. And if it's subsidized, they'll tell you at the beginning. And if it's subsidized, you normally have to pay like something like $100 a week, or like, I don't know, $80 a
Like,
week or something. Yeah,
consider
but
yourself.
it's super cheap compared to what it would be anyway. I haven't had to do any subsidized yet. All of my accommodation for all of my contracts thus far have been free, thank
God.
God.
Thank God indeed.
Amen. Amen. But yes, yeah, they do pay for that, but not for like extra things.
Okay. So how long are we talking about in this contract? Is it like 3 months, 6 months, a year?
Yeah.
What
So
does it
it
look
depends
like?
on it depends on the client, actually. It depends on the client, depends on the needs of the services. Some services would prefer longer periods of time, other services prefer shorter periods of time. So I know friends, and I've got other colleagues who've done like 4 week, 6 week contracts, 10, 12, 6 months. And I even know a lady, when I was living in Albury, she actually she got to where she was working, and then they liked her so much, and then she kept on extending, and then she actually extended for another year, and then she brought her son so that he can go to the local primary school. So she essentially she moved house. She's now living for free. Her son's going to a local primary school, and she's got a year's contract guaranteed. And
Guaranteed.
yeah,
Wow, that's nice.
that's really nice of her. So it depends on the needs of the services. I've done 3 month contracts up until now because, like I said, I kind of do like that stability of being in a
Yeah,
team,
yeah.
getting to know the
Getting
patient,
to
getting
know,
to know the
yeah,
area. But it can be as short as is needed and as long as is
as is
needed.
needed. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just one downside to doing an agency shift all the
Mhm.
time. In as much as there are days when you enjoy the fact that you're just, you're neutral, you're not
Yeah.
involved in all the drama, but there are days too when you feel a little bit alone.
Yeah.
You're alone in the team.
Hmm.
That feeling is
Yeah.
there. So at times I frown at that because I'm a very like chatty, yappy person. So at
Yes.
times I go to a place and I can't really yap too much because I don't know anybody.
Exactly.
And I just have to focus and do my job and go home. So
Yeah.
yeah, once you have the stability, then
Yeah.
the job automatically becomes fun. So that's
Exactly.
nice.
It does, and you know what you're doing at each time. But then other places, they're so bad and isolated
And you
that
can't wait to run
you
away.
should only do like 6 weeks.
I run away. So, but then what we have now is the fact that you can either choose to do like the long-term ones or you can
Hmm.
still pick like the everyday week one. So that's fine. So that means whatever you want to do based on your family circumstances,
Yes.
it's available for you to do that in
Yeah.
Australia. So let's go into the main part everybody wants to know, of course, is the pay. Like is the pay. What is the
Money.
difference within an agency staff and a regular staff in the hospitals? Because in the
Yeah.
UK here, the difference is massive.
Oh, the
Yeah.
difference is it's massive as well. It's
It's
massive.
massive, and that's why most persons would just like abandon the regular job and just go
Yeah,
do. Everybody wants more value for their time. So why
absolutely.
should I choose A if B can give me more value for my time? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
difference is so much. So tell us the pay for like working in the hospital. Did you ever work in the hospital in Australia, or you just went straight into agency?
I just went straight into community. So in terms of the pay, you do get paid more than permanent members of staff. Each state pays permanent members of staff differently. I think Queensland is one of the highest paying states, followed by, I want to say, Victoria, and then like New South Wales. But Tasmania, which is where I am right now, nurses don't get paid. Permanent members of staff are not getting paid what they deserve, essentially,
Okay.
especially when compared to their counterparts. It's not that good. So one of my colleagues was telling me that he's getting paid about 38 Australian dollars an hour, which is more than England. But by Australian standards, there are nurses who are on like 43, 45, all the way up to 47 and sometimes even 50, but it depends on what state you're working in, dollars an hour. Agencies, from what I've seen, rates start anywhere from like $68, $69 an hour all the way up into infinity. So it's significantly more, almost double.
Almost double.
Almost double for doing the same job. So I'll give you an example for like this next contract. These are some of the pay rates. So like a Monday to Friday, normal like 9 to 5 in the morning, it is $79 an hour.
Monday to Friday, day shift.
Day shift, which is it's like £40 if you convert it, 30 to £40 an hour. Okay. Yeah, Monday to Friday day shift. Monday to Friday afternoon shift, $90 an hour.
Oh my God! Now we're coming up. $90 an hour.
$90 an hour.
Okay.
For a PM shift. Monday to Friday night shift, $100.73 an hour.
Now I need to pack my bag. With each word you say, I throw a shoe into the bag.
Saturday, $118.50 an hour. Saturday. Wow. Sunday, $138 an hour.
Oh my God! Now that is massive.
Public holiday, $197.50 an hour. Oh my God! If you get
$200.
It's $200. Well, Christmas. If you do a long term Christmas, oh my days. People are going to be making money.
Now you want to go back?
No, I do community, so I'm off public holidays. That's the only problem.
And, oh my God, that is nice.
Yeah, so this is only representative of my particular contract with my agency. There are agencies that pay way more than I do. Like, I mean, there are people who I know who are on like their basic rate is like up to like $85 an hour, whereas this is only like 79 only.
Only. Come on, don't be greedy.
Do you see what I mean? So no, so certain agencies do pay well, they do pay better than others. Like I said, it also depends on what kind of area you're working on. It depends on which state you're working on. If you're in the middle of the outback, in the middle of nowhere, you're probably going to be getting paid like.
If you're working in those outbacks, you should be like well compensated.
Well compensated.
You should be well compensated compared to somebody who's out in Sydney or.
Yes.
Like so they will be finding me there. That's
exactly.
Where I go.
Exactly. So agency rates are significantly more, about double what it is for like permanent members of staff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's almost what you get here in the UK as well, because like the regular pay rates for NHS staff for Northern Ireland is worse than that of England. Okay, don't even compare us. In Northern Ireland, the startup nurse is still having around £13 something. Yeah,
No way.
I'm telling you, no joke. But
Oh
at
my
least in
God.
England, some of them get as much as 17 and start up at 15 and things like that. But then here, the agency for day shift will be around £25, and then night
Okay,
shift
yeah.
£30, and then our weekend shift £35, bank holiday
Mhm.
around £40. Well,
That
that's
is
that's just
still
about it.
less. That's still less than Australia, roughly.
No, that's definitely less.
Yeah,
It's definitely
yeah.
less than Australia, yeah.
Hey, but it's
And
significantly more than the permanent. Yeah.
uh, but then the
Right.
major problem right now is the agency shifts are beginning to go down this way. You know, with everything going on in the UK right now, everything seems to be on remission. Yes, they
Everything.
are cutting down on everything. The last time, was it a few months back, they had done
Mhm.
this thing in Northern Ireland where they sort of like took out all the agencies, and then they created what they refer to as tier one and tier two, like slashed all their pays, and they had the agency slash the pays of the staff. You know, they were doing everything to get people to
Oh
stop
my God.
doing agency and come and do regular stuff. You wouldn't
Yeah.
believe, I now meet people here in Northern Ireland who come all the way from England to work here. There
Yeah.
is no more shift in England.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, there is no more shift. So it's not just about the pay now. The
Hmm.
shifts are no longer there.
So, and speaking of agency nurses and people cutting down on agency staff, there's always a risk that your contract can be cancelled at any time as well. So you always have to just be like smart with your money and just know that it's it might not be guaranteed,
Your next
um,
meal.
mm. and things like that. So, yeah, you just got to be sort of smart with that and always just be ready to like move if you need to.
Mm. So what do you say about like sick leave? Because that would be one of the things people would one of the things that
Mhm.
will get people stuck on a permanent job will be, all these other remunerations, not financially, like your sick leave, maternity leave, and things like that. Do you have some agencies there in Australia who would cover your sick leave?
Not
Or
as far as I
no?
know. No, not
No.
as far as I know. It's literally, it's if you don't work, you don't get paid.
Don't get paid. So
Yeah, it's that simple. Like there's none of that, none of those sort of job protections as such,
mm,
if as you want to call them, because they say because they're paying you so much, etc.
you should,
You
you should
you
cover
yeah,
this cost for yourself.
exactly. Just
Oh,
save your money.
mm.
Don't spend it all.
Don't
to
spend
and
it all. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a risk that you if you're gonna be signing up for agents, that you should know that if you do get sick, you're not gonna be able to work. If you need maternity pay, maybe that's when it's time to go get a permanent job. um Things like
What
that.
advice are you going to give somebody who is looking to relocate to Australia and maybe is eyeing the agency like me? My eyes are there. What
I
advice are
say
you going to
go
give them?
ahead, and you might as well do it. You might as well do it, because nursing is nursing wherever you go. It's equally as hard. People are just as sick as each other here as they are in Australia. So for the same amount of work, for the same amount of hours that you're standing up, you might as well get paid more.
Get paid more,
Like,
yeah.
I think, we have to start looking at it like mathematically, because I feel like gone are the days where you can be like, oh, this is my passion. No, we have bills to pay.
Passion.
Okay.
My bills have got a passion, girl.
Yes, I need a roof over my head. I have bills. I have, a
I've
house
got
I
a
want to.
passion for me.
Exactly. So I say just go ahead and do it. If you don't like it, you can always fly back.
Yeah.
It's yeah, that's what I say. And just do it now, and just it's a nice experience, to get to like nurse in a different country as well. They've got
Mm.
ways of doing things that are better or worse sometimes than the NHS, and it's you become a better clinician that way. You get to meet people and patients from populations you would never ever encounter if you stay in
Mm.
the UK. So
Yeah. Yeah.
expose yourself to that, become a better clinician, get paid more, and if you don't like it, quit.
It's that simple. Yeah, life is not that complex. When people say to me, like, why would you want to travel out of UK? Well, I'm like,
Why
well, I
not?
left Nigeria for the UK. I never
Yes,
said this was going to be my last bus stop. I still have a long,
exactly,
like, life ahead of me.
exactly,
There's still so
yeah,
much to explore.
exactly.
People are just
So
so
much.
scared of stepping out, stepping out of the comfort, missing friends and family. I left the whole
Yeah.
family back home, so I can as well live wherever I know here in the UK.
You can always get on a plane.
Yeah.
We thank God for planes. So
If you get homesick, you can always come back.
exactly. Leave the UK, just try new things. Like
Try new things.
there's
Yeah.
more to life than the NHS.
Wow, you're speaking my language, girl. You guys, if you're
Exactly.
watching this video to this time and you haven't subscribed, please take a minute of your time to subscribe to this channel. Give me a thumbs up. It's going to encourage me to do more videos. Thank you so much, Thembi, for being on the channel. It's been a lovely, lovely discussion. Like, I've learned so much. I'm more aware if I am going into doing an agency in Australia when I get there, or if I'm just going to remain as a permanent staff, or if I'm going to be jumping, the way I'm jumping here in the UK. At least now I know. The most important thing is being aware.
Yes,
Like,
and
not
having
being
that
aware of
knowledge.
things is just what I don't like. So I like knowing
Yeah.
what the options are and exactly
Yeah.
what to do when I get there. So if you do have any questions about whatever has been discussed here today, leave your questions on the comment section. I'll be checking. I will try to answer as much as possible. So for now, we're going to say thank you to Thembi for being on the channel and hope to see you some other time. And thank you guys for watching. See you some other time too. Bye-bye.
Bye.